I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Hey, this is Contour. This is Jonathan from Crosswise. Hi, we're Plainview. And
hey, we are the Gypsy Ghosts.
This is the Unassisted. Hey, how's it going? This is Josh from Pound Coupe.
Hi, this is Hate Notes.
Good evening, this is Dr. Bones Live, starting off Saturday night on the right note. And today my guest is, and it's his third time on, we're here to talk about his new EP. It is now saved to turn off the computer. Welcome back for the third time, Grim. Welcome back, buddy. How are you?
Hey, not too bad, man. Yeah, great to be back. Actually, it seems too long, and yet it seems like only yesterday at the same time. Time is a strange thing.
Oh man, I've been waiting for this, and once I saw the notes on a new EP, I was like, awesome. I couldn't wait because, like I've told you in the past, I'm like one of your biggest fans, and I love your music. So I was very interested to see where you went with this one, because as we know, throughout the year, you put out one song, "Digging," and you also put out "Blame" as well, which is actually on this EP. And two songs that are completely different from what Digital Throw Up was. So like almost a year later, and almost wouldn't say complete 360, but a different change. And it's nice because, I mean, you still have for lack, I'm trying to think of a good, have a decent word here to put in here, but you still have your drive and balance. But now it's a little bit different, and the one thing is too, and I know we talked about this about a year ago now, is that the first EP, Digital Throw Up, you were a little bit more angry. Now things have kind of turned around a little bit, and things have changed. So you've progressed through a bunch of different things.
I suppose that's true. Yeah, I've been thinking about it, how to explain it or whatever, and the only thing I can think of is sort of the technical side of it, and it's kind of like I always think to myself that I'm going to do one specific thing, like, I have an idea of musically what I'm going to do, but then I sit down at the computer or I sit down with a guitar or something, and I discover something that I didn't know before. I hadn't tried out before, and I get so excited that I write an entire song around that, and then suddenly, that's done, and I'm going in a different direction. So, to be honest, these four songs are kind of just, it's each song represents something that I stumbled upon by accident, and I was excited about it, so I pursued it to the end, and it made a song, I suppose.
And in a lot of ways, a lot of times, the kind of by accident songs are some of the best ones.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It's like, I'm a massive fan of Tom Waits, and he says that the best songs are written in 20 minutes, and I suppose that's an extension of that. It's like, once you discover something and you get so excited about it, 20 minutes is pretty much all you need, because that's then done. You've got 3 minutes of a song, and that's it. To do any more to it would just, you'd probably just wreck it,
Well, exactly, but like I said, it's just one of those things. It's always, you never know what you can come up with in that short amount of time, and a lot of times it's just like you said, the kind of moment that just hits you, and you gotta start writing, because if you stop and take a break, you're not gonna finish it, and you can come back, it's not gonna be the same thing at all.
Yeah, exactly. Nail on the head, man. Nail on the head.
So I mean, that's like I do play guitar, and I do some writing here and there on the sides, and a lot of times that's exactly what happens. The moment hit me, it's like I got to do it right now. If I don't, I'll forget, and it's not gonna be the same thing.
Yeah, man, I posted something about that earlier on today, actually, because I haven't been able to write lyrics in a couple of weeks. More than that, maybe even a month. And I've been banging my head against a brick wall trying to write lyrics. And today I was standing in the shower, and like literally a full song of lyrics came in my head, and I had to get out of the shower and go and write it down, because I knew I was going to forget it. I was just like, that had to arrive when I was in such an awkward place. You know, it just had to happen then. Like, it couldn't have happened when I was sitting doing bugger all, which I do a lot. It had to arrive just then.
Well, and that's the thing, eh? But that's what makes it funny. Is like you're trying to remember. Is like and now I need somewhere to put this. And luckily now, because of technology, you know, if you're out, as long as you have your cell phone, you've got some sort of audio recorder that you can record it and write it down later.
Yeah, well, yeah, I suppose there's that. Yeah, but I find that even then, like, I mean, I literally thought to myself, I need to buy some markers to put in the shower, you know, just so I can write it on the wall.
Yeah.
If anything comes to me, because I'm not running that risk again. Like, because I swear the notebook that I wrote it in is soaked. It's saturated. Like, you know, it was just soaked because I was still dripping wet, and it was just like. So that's for any of my female fans out there. I was dripping wet straight out of the shower writing lyrics.
I could only imagine like the smearing of the ink and trying to read that. You know,
It was
your ears, my something.
I can't even make it out. Yes, well, I mean, if the next song comes out and the lyrics sound like they're just nonsense, it's because they were wet.
That sounds so bad.
I'm not above a bit of innuendo, man. I'm not above a bit of innuendo.
Oh man, we're off to a great start already here.
Yeah.
So, actually, that being said, we're going to take a quick break and we're going to listen to the very first song off your brand new EP. Is Now Safe to Turn Off Your Computer. This song's called Knots. Dig this.
I wanna play with it when
All right, that was the very first song on Grimm's new EP. It is now safe to turn off your computer. Excuse me. This song, I really liked. It was like, and I know I'm comparing it to Digital Throw Up, but just that's just because that's the only other EP, and since they're so close together, and apparently we lost Grimm, so let's just hold on one sec here, and we'll get him back in a sec, and then we'll keep talking about the song. So just stand by here, we'll get him back. Should only be a moment here. But the song Knots, like I was saying, is very different and comparable to. You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so like I was saying that Knots is different, but a little bit comparable to the first song on Digital Throw Up, just because it's a little bit lighter now. The vocals are a lot more. They sound a lot more progressed, and this time around, it just seems a lot more. It almost seems a lot more thought about it, a lot more, a bit of a cleaner recording. We'll put it that way.
Yeah. It's actually an old song. This was sort of like Digital Throw Up was about a breakup, and this song was actually I started writing before the breakup. But it was the song came about, like I said, about experimenting and stuff. The song came about because that sound of the bass guitar on the song, I was trying to create that sound. I literally went into the studio. I had this idea in mind. I'd heard something on the radio, and I wanted to create that sound. And it's literally a layer of about 6 bass tracks, all playing the same thing. And I was experimenting between using a pick and using my fingers in different ways. And I just layered it up, and I got this amazing bass sound. And then I based the entire song around that.
Oh, it's kind of funny that you mentioned going between fingers and a pick, just because when I started learning how to play guitar, I always had a problem. I don't know. I could never to use a pick too well, so I used to use my fingers.
Yeah.
And now all the time now, I still use my fingers. I rarely use a pick, if ever. But I find it so much easier. But I can I can pick just as well and strum just as well as anyone else without a pick. I just got used to using it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I can totally see that. All right, man. I mean, I started bass first, and then I went on to guitar. So I'm kind of. I'm the enemy of all guitarists, and that I have these big, heavy meat hook hands. And people, I bend strings and I just mutilate guitars. But the funny thing about it is I feel more comfortable using a pick on a guitar, but I feel less comfortable using a pick on a bass. But that's kind of incidental note. But yeah, I know it's weird that just some things work and some things don't, and you can have no explanation for it whatsoever. Another friend of mine who's played guitar for years is so much more comfortable using his fingers as well than using a pick. But that's just the way it goes.
Well, yeah, it was just one of those things. I got used to it. Then every time I tried to use a pick, I couldn't really do too well. I mean, I could do some basic strumming, but it's so much easier with my fingers now to pick and do everything else. And I agree with you. The same thing with the bass. The same thing with my bass. I never use a pick for it. It's always more comfortable just because I have longer fingers, so it's easy to kind of pull up in the strings.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, that's cool, man. No, I would agree with that, because I just think it gives it such a richer tone. You know what I mean? Unless you're trying to get a specific sound, but I just think, there's certain sounds, I suppose the Chris Novoselic out of Nirvana, or the guy out of Green Day, Mike.
Oh, Mike Dirnt.
Mike Dirnt, yeah. I mean, they use picks, and that's a great sound.
Oh, absolutely.
But I just think most bass players, most of the best bass sounds come from using your fingers. But anyway, the point of it was, is that song Knots, just came about mucking about with that bass tone and stuff, and then I kind of just built the song around that, with different samples and mucking about with keyboard sounds and that, and then, I'm a fairly miserable son of a bitch anyway, so the lyrics came to me, so it was all, about how terrible my life is and how I'm unraveling, and well, how could the world be so cruel to me?
The whole world's against me, man. I swear to God, the whole world's against me.
It's only partly an act.
Yeah. No, but man, yeah, that's like I said, it's a good tune. No, I like the change, and I just, like I said, I will be comparing the two just because they're completely different, and not just lyrically, but just like the sound, the whole thing altogether. So it's a good comparison because, like I said, it's pretty much almost complete 360 here. So we're gonna get to the next song on the EP, which is called "In His Own Image." Dig this, and we'll be back in a few minutes. All right, that was Grimm with "In His Own Image," and this one, the more I listen to it, the more I can see it. This may not what you were going for, but I can really tell. Well, at least the way that you arrange the music, it sounded. There's a lot of almost like kind of Nine Inch Nails sound in there, and from the like very beginning for the first like minute and a bit, and then the last a little bit, kind of like almost the two different spectrums of Nine Inch Nails, from like kind of the heavier beginning and kind of still kind of lighter like middle and still going sort of thing. If that makes any sense to you?
Yeah, no, definitely. I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, I mean, I don't like Nine Inch Nails as much as a lot of people might think. Or like, no, that's the wrong way to put it. I don't listen to as much Nine Inch Nails as a lot of people think. I do get a few comparisons there, and it's very, very flattering because the man's a genius, and everything I've heard, I've loved. And it's just, I don't know, I know a lot of his stuff, and I like a lot of his stuff. But I can see why you would say there is a comparison there. Yeah, definitely. I mean, because it's that drum sound, isn't it? It's that's what I always took away from everything that he ever done. Well, obviously his vocals as well, because he's so effusive. His the way he emotes stuff
Right.
lyrically and vocally. But the drum sounds on Nine Inch Nails tracks are just, they cannot be confused with anybody else. He just knows how to make a drum sound like it's being viciously attacked and singing to survive. It's like it's trying to make something beautiful just so that it's not being, murdered or something.
Right.
I think I always just assumed that's what it was because I'm always drawn to that drum sound. So when I muck about with drums, it always comes out slightly industrial. But that song, I can tell you exactly where that song came from, actually. That song came from Blurred Lines. Blurred Lines was really big, and it was all over the TV, and everybody was listening to it, and everybody loved it, and I got really, really annoyed. I was like, I could write a song like that in 10 minutes. I swear I could do that. That's not a song. That's just someone's, musical fart. That's not barely music, And I got really annoyed, and I went upstairs and I picked up my awful, battered, old acoustic guitar that was, not worthy of recording. And I just sort of battered this basic structure of a song out. And then when I actually finally got around to recording it in, it didn't take me 10 minutes. I put a lot of effort into it, and eventually that song, sort of came out, and it formed around different ideas that I had and stuff. But it was just me trying to, stubbornly or arrogantly think that somehow I was as good as, songwriters who'd been writing pop songs for 20 odd years, But that's where it came from.
Oh, man, I tell you, Canada can't win between Bieber and Robin Thicke. We're just we keep on shooting ourselves in the foot here.
Yeah. But well, you also have Bryan Adams and Alanis Morissette.
Yeah, and thank God for Rush, man.
Oh yeah. Well, that's a fair point. Actually, I forgot about Rush. You have Rush.
Yeah, thank God for Rush, man. Otherwise, we'd be sunk.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I mean the mortality rate by gun crime is fairly low, and the people are desperately friendly. So you have that.
No, true enough.
But yeah, no, I know. Well, I'm not totally against all that those pop songs and stuff. I mean, like, I am fairly miserable and all that, but if that makes somebody happy, then that's fair enough. But it's just, if you sort of write songs, all as much as I do or whatever, and you're putting them out into the world, and you want somebody to take notice, eventually, you get a bad day, and you just go, why is that shit on the TV? And I'm not, and that happens to the best of us, I suppose.
Yeah, well, it's the same thing with reading the paper. It's almost nothing but depressing news all the time, right? So it kind of.
Yeah, I mean, what is it like? Good news is no news, isn't that what they say?
Yeah, well, that's right. So but it kind of deters you from reading a lot. So, but just before I get into the next song here, just on Canadians being friendly, the second Anchorman movie. I saw in the theater, and it was really funny. But they played on the Canadian politeness, and what happened was the first one it was like 4 stations battling against each other. This one they had everybody and their brother battling against each other, and the Canadian team, which was led by Jim Carrey, mind you.
Oh, yeah.
They were firing hockey pucks, and each time they say sorry every time they fired a puck. It's like, so I just one of those things I know that was really funny. Like, I mean, I laughed pretty hard about that. So
Yeah, well, I mean, you guys love hockey a lot, and hockey, as far as I'm aware, is literally the most violent sport that you can play. Probably the most violent sport, actually. I mean, I was going to say except for rugby, but rugby, it's like they're allowed to be violent while they're playing, whereas in hockey, they're encouraged to be violent between playing. It's like,
right.
We're stopped playing now, so wail on each other, please.
Yeah.
By all means,
Well, that's right. There's a difference between a scrum in rugby and someone just nailing someone just for the hell of it.
Exactly, so you've got that in your favor,
Yeah. Well, I actually did play hockey for a number of years. I haven't played probably in about 7-8 years at least, just because I haven't had the time. But I had my fair share of good hits.
Well,
So.
you have my kudos then, man.
Yeah.
Because
No.
I mean, I look like I can look like I can fight, but I really can't. This is all for show. I look like I can fight because I don't want to fight. Because if I look like I can fight, then I'm never gonna have to. Because a big guy running away screaming, "Not the face, not the face."
Anywhere between the neck and the waist, and that's it.
Even then, I'm dubious. Like, frankly, I'd just rather, talk it out and then run away.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, I mean, I didn't honestly get a lot of fights, but I delivered a lot of good hits. Is more what happened. And one of my favorite things to do, I know I may sound kind of bad, but on a penalty kill, what happens? The best way to do it, if it's to the left or the right of the goalie, you want to stack the one side from the goalie so you can stop the shot from getting through if it gets back to the point man.
Uh-huh.
And I was always the one, as soon as the puck dropped, I would charge that point. If you get the puck, I'd bowl him over before I even get that shot off. He didn't have a hope in hell.
Kudos, man.
So that was always one of my favorite things to do, is to stop it because they wouldn't expect it. And I'm just like I'm not the biggest guy in the world. Like, I stand I'm like 6 foot 180, but no, this tall kind of bigger guy coming bowling at you when you're getting ready to fire a shot, you're gonna try to get off as quick as possible. So either you get off and then it goes the opposite direction you want to go in, or you're gonna get knocked over before you even get that blade to the puck.
Yeah, God. Well, fair play to you, man, because I, sometimes I can barely stand up in the morning.
Well, I think we all have those days.
Yeah, and they come more and more as you get older. And I'm only 28, but even still, I mean, I was not prepared for the 2-day hangover.
Oh, welcome to the club, brother, man. I'm 34, man. I know exactly how you feel.
Yeah, they don't prepare you. They should teach that in school, man. They don't prepare you for that.
All right, man. Well, we're gonna get into the third song here on your new EP. This one is called Splendor. Dig it.
I am making all this noise to avoid calling your name. It's a dilution of fears, a spurt of growth that's caused by pain. And in my nightmares I am still there in the house where I made ghosts. And I hate seeing your doorway, and I hate feeling your clothes. Cause as close as you make it, you are still so far away. And I feel selfish that I just can't bring myself to watch you fade away. All this grows to me down all this grows to me
All right, that was Splendor by Grimm. Now, this one is a little different because it's a lot more mellow and a lot more. I'm trying to think of a better way to put it, but straightforward, meaning there's depth to it, but there's not a whole lot. It's a bit more of a simple song.
It's that song is almost literally all about that weird guitar sound, that weird delay guitar sound on the drums.
Right.
Because that's sort of where it all started, and it was just the delay on the guitar is not in sync with the tempo of the rest of the song. It does work, but mathematically, the numbers don't match up, and I'm kind of an obtuse guy who likes to think that he's clever, so I really like that, So that's where it all started, and it was that just the intro part that you hear was sitting on my laptop for a long time before I even started trying to put vocals to it.
Oh wow!
So it was just that little tiny section, and that I just really liked it. I liked the sound of it. It was so huge sounding, and the sound of it was very complex. So then when I went to do the song itself, actually the vocals and the arrangement of the song, to try and do something a bit more complex and that from that end would have just been overkill, But the thing I like, the thing about that song is the reason it's called Splendor. It was originally going to be called. I was originally calling it "I Talked to Bob," and a friend of mine hated the name. He hated it so much that every time he met me, he asked me have you changed the name of the song yet? because he hated the name so much, you know. But it was called "I Talked to Bob" as a reference to the movie American Splendor.
Okay. Yep.
You know the movie?
Yep.
Yeah, and there's a bit in that movie where he says he's talking to Robert Crumb, you know, Harvey Pekar,
right?
And he says I know that bad experiences, you know, they cause emotional growth or something. He says, and then he says, but I would trade some of this growth for happiness at this point.
Right.
Which is a very a beautiful thing to say. It's just such a nice thing to say, you know, for a miserable person to say, you know.
Right, yeah.
And that's where the chorus lyric, all this growth is sure to be the death of me, came from, because the chorus lyric is actually supposed to be a joke. You know, I thought it was funny, you know, when I came up with it, I thought that's kind of funny actually. Well, you know, but then nobody else is going to get the reference. But it wasn't until after I'd written the song that I realised that nobody else was going to get the reference. But then it was done. So, and obviously, being that it was from American Splendor, that's where Splendor came from.
Yeah. You know, I have a lot of references that fall on deaf ears because people don't remember them. I just have a knack for like remembering like lyrics and like movie lines, that sort of thing. So. Yeah,
but that's I love that. You know, it's like everything's been said before anyway. So if you can remember a really good quote to express what you're trying to say, I think that's almost as good as coming up with it yourself.
No, that's a good point. We're going to get into the last song of the EP, but just before I do that, because I saw his retweet and I'm pretty sure he's listening, just a shout out to Del from Analog Wave. So yeah. He knew about this and he was excited to see this, and obviously they're a good bunch of guys. So, but that being said, let's move on to the very last song and on Grimm's new EP. It is now safe to turn off your computer. This one's called Blame.
Finding someone to blame dearly, I know I was wrong. All the mess we couldn't get out of, I was cleaning on. Someone made a mess of your life. Someone made a mess of your life. Someone made a mess of your life. But it wasn't me, dear. It wasn't me, dear. Not content with made-up monsters, you brought yours to life. In your head and over time, they and I grew alike. Someone made a mess of your life. Someone made a mess of your life. Someone made a mess of your life. But it wasn't me, dear. It wasn't me, dear.
Alright, that was Blame. That is the very last song on Grimm's EP, is Now It's Safe to Turn Off Your Computer. And that's another one we've heard before. This is a good tune and a good way to kind of finish up the EP, kind of mellow it out and then kind of almost fade on it, and the we'll call it maybe soothing vocals.
Yeah. Well, this all comes from the types of records that I was brought up on, or well, not brought up on. Sorry, is the wrong word. It's like the stuff I loved when I was a teenager, basically, and they all finished on, you know, like the really heartfelt, almost acoustic like you say, soothing almost sort of track. And I just love that. I love the song, the very melancholy, the soul wrenching song being at the very end of the record, and it just sums everything up. So
Right.
so it's just natural to me to put that there. But this song came about. Literally, I wrote it. This was one of the ones that I literally wrote in 20 minutes after an argument, a phone call conversation with my ex. And sometimes those are the best motivators for writing a song, And I just sat down with the acoustic guitar, and it just fell out of me,
Well, right on, man. It's definitely a great tune. So, and like I said, a good way to finish up. And once again, man, it's been so much fun, and thank you so much for coming back on the show.
Oh, no, it's been amazing, man. It's been really cool. I've really enjoyed it. Actually, I would just like to say as well, on your thing about you chatting about Dell from Analog Wave, I would like to say hello to them as well, because I am working on a remix. I'm working on one at the moment, and I'm going to move on to there's two I have in mind of trying to remix. So I'm working on that at the moment, but there's so many elements to their stuff, and it's so hard to break it up, the songs apart, because I love them so much. But yeah, so I just like to say hello to Dell, and I'm not entirely sure what the other guy's name is, but Analog Wave guys anyway.
Well, it was awesome. They're a good bunch of guys, and their picks from they just did a festival recently. It was like about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks ago. Were pretty cool and kind of creepy at the same time too.
Yeah, no, I saw their pictures too. Yeah, because I had a couple of friends of mine who went down to play that festival. I really should have put myself in for more festivals this year, but I just never got around to it. But yeah, so it really looked really cool. Like, I'd heard a lot of good things about that festival. It seemed to go off pretty well. Like, so, and I know they haven't done too many live things, so it was good to see them out, spreading their analog seed.
Right. Well, right on, man. Like I said, this is a great EP, and I was really happy to see the new music. And thank you again so much for coming back on the show for the third time for your three-peat here. And talk to us about your music, because it's always a pleasure, man. It's always a lot of fun and a good time.
Yeah, it's been class, man. Thank you.
Not a problem at all. All right, guys. So that was Grim with his brand new EP. It is now safe to turn off your computer. You heard it here. It's a good EP, so I suggest you pick it up on his Bandcamp. It's well worth your while. So until next time, which is very, very soon, we'll come back for New Music Saturday. Until then, thanks so much for listening. Bones out.